You don't need to worry about anything.
Dominica, friends of Dominica at home and abroad,
We have
good evening to you. It is always wonderful to be back with you for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the
okay.
big station.
Our program for this evening.
Wherever you are
We'll
joining us from. Lambi, I
yes,
think I'm hearing a feedback. I might be hearing another program or something, so I'm not sure if you can hear that as well. Wherever you are joining us from, it is great to be back with you for our number one program for featuring the people, the organizations, the events that are geared towards moving Dominica forward, especially as it relates to economic opportunities for our brothers and sisters at home and abroad. We continue to advance Dominica and to identify what role can each one of us play in this mission. So this is where we come every second and fourth Wednesday of the month to take a deeper look at the issues that are affecting us with a view towards impacting positive changes. And as the world continues to change and evolve, we look at the changes we should be taking advantage of, or what changes we need to make in order to move our country forward. We all know that we face many battles in Dominica, but here on Roots Connections, we especially recognize that in order to affect change in Dominica, Dominicans must be financially independent so that they can be free to make other decisions, including electing their government. So, again, I want to welcome you to Roots Connections on Q, whether you're joining us from Dominica, the Caribbean region, or the rest of the world. This is episode number 62 for today, January 10th, 2023. This is our first episode for 2024. I said that incorrectly. I'm still stuck in 2023. So this is our first program today, January 10th, 2024. So happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Of course, we wish you life, health, and prosperity during 2024. We have another packed program for you as we continue to explore the way forward with agriculture in Dominica. What are the new markets, new opportunities to sell our produce, and how can we all support this important initiative? So today we're looking at what are the new paths for securing financial opportunities in agriculture in Dominica for 2024 and beyond. And we are grateful to be joined by two very enterprising and innovative women. This evening, we have Mrs. Petra George with us, and we also have Miss Callister Sango with us, and they will tell us all about the projects they are doing with regards to advancing agriculture. But before we get started, we always like to remember to pray for our country. We especially pray for the friends, family, and anyone associated with Dr. Etienne. We know that today was her funeral, so we hope that she will rest in eternal peace. So let us give a warm Roots Connections welcome to our guests, and we thank them for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here. We're going to invite them to unmute their mic at this point and just give us a brief introduction of who they are, where in Dominica they're from, where they're currently based, and then we will take the conversation from there. And as they do, I will go ahead and share the live to all our viewers online. So let's start with you, Callister. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good night, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am grateful to be here. My name is Callister Sango, and I am from Penville. Most people will know me as the founder of Agrivertise, which is an online agricultural marketplace, and also the author of 3 books. We have one which is agriculture related, and the 2 others non-agriculture related.
Yes, lovely to have you on the program. Petra, tell us a little bit about
Hi.
you.
Hey, good night. Thanks for having me on the program as well. My name is Petra Cabon George. I'm from the lovely village of Capuchin in the north of Dominica. I reside now in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I work for the government in the U.S. Virgin Islands as an auditor. But I love agriculture and really pushing that our produce make it presence here in the Virgin Islands.
Yes, thank you both ladies for being here. So again, welcome to Roots Connections. We continue to work to position Dominica to take advantage of the benefits of the world that is changing around us, a world where change is the only constant. We are always grateful to you, our audience, whether you're joining us via the radio on Q95 Radio or you're joining us on Facebook at Q95 FM Radio, on YouTube Q95 FM Radio, or on Push Past 10. We are grateful that you're here with us. Don't forget to share the live. Let everyone know that we're here to have this important conversation. We are grateful for Mr. G, the Q95 family, and everyone who helps to keep this program going. Lambi on the console, thank you for being here. DJ Shan, showing Norris in the background. Thank you so much for all the work that you do with keeping these programs on the air. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Roots Connections on Q. Today we are looking at the new paths to securing financial opportunities in agriculture in Dominica in 2024 and beyond. And I know that our audience will have a lot to contribute to this conversation. So we are looking forward to hearing from you at the top of the hour. So as we get started, recently, I believe it was July 4th of 2022, the Prime Minister of Dominica projected that agriculture will contribute $700 million to Dominica's GDP. While others claim that agriculture currently contributes about $10 million, the Prime Minister estimated that, although he couldn't give us a specific number, he estimated that currently agriculture accounts for $300 million of Dominica's GDP. So some of the questions we are asking today is, are we on track to getting Dominica's agriculture to the level that the Prime Minister projects? And what would it take to get there? Our two guests are right on path with creating those new paths which are needed to secure financial opportunities in agriculture. So we're looking forward to hearing from them in terms of exactly what they are doing. But before we do, again, I mentioned that these are two innovative and enterprising women. They're also involved in several other projects. So I want to give them an opportunity to share on the other projects because they're clearly converting their passion for Dominica into action for Dominica. So I want to give them an opportunity to share on some of the other projects that they are engaged in. For example, Petra, I was quite astonished when I heard that you were coordinating flights to Dominica. So kind of tell us about that, because we know that the airline industry is struggling greatly in the Caribbean. So tell us about the flights that you began to coordinate from the USVI to Dominica.
Yes, so as you rightly stated, it's a struggle to get to Dominica from St. Croix or St. Thomas. We have to go through Puerto Rico or we go through Totola. So what I do is that I put out an ad and I put some dates out and I chat an airline from a private company and then have the airline do passenger flights for me at reasonable costs that people still be interested in traveling to help with the struggle, because some of the elderly people, especially for the elderly people who can travel on their own and they have to stay to Puerto Rico for so long during the day before they get the flights. The last flight in from Puerto Rico to Dominica every day is some free, reach Dominica almost 350 to hour. And so sometimes they stay a lot of hours, 3, 4, 5 hours in Puerto Rico. And so I just try to fill in the gap by organizing these flights for especially the elderly people and those who don't want to stay. too long out. One person told me that they travel through Antigua, then they went to Barbados, and then they came back to Dominica on Wing Air from the U.S. Virgin Islands through Totola. So it's really a struggle out there. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, I mean, it just raises a whole plethora of questions, Petra, because you make it sound so simple that you just decided to charter flights from, the USVI to Dominica, but there certainly has to be an exorbitant cost to
Yes,
charter in a
yes.
flight. So how are you funding this? You make it sound
Well,
so simple.
yes. Well, I what I do, I get the pricing from the charter companies, and I do the calculation, and I ensure that the cost is covered through the tickets. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, and then I have to put in the additional monies to cover the cost.
Mhm.
But I keep on doing it because I know for a fact down the road it will get better, and more people hear about it is more they call me. So like next month there are a lot of people, like 15 people already wanting to know if I have any flights for next month to come down to Dominica for the carnival. So I am working on getting a charter for maybe 3 days in February before the carnival to get some people to Dominica. Um, we have another colleague of ours in St. Thomas, a young lady from Dominica as well. They just got a plane, so we're going to work together to get to do that as well. She's going to do St. Thomas, and I'm going to do St. Croix.
So again, just a whole bunch of questions come to mind because I think for the average person, we see the availability of flights or the lack of availability of flights, and we simply just work with what is available and what is not available. What drove you to get into this venture? Because I see the potential of how far this can go. So what inspired you to take on this venture?
Well, I had to travel with my family to Dominica for Christmas, and it was crazy. And the schedule and the flights we had to take, and I was like, oh my, I can't do that every year to come to Dominica. By myself, it's okay, but with children, it's crazy. And then we usually had that gentleman that used to do it before. I thought he's still doing that for 20 years, I think, or more in St. Croix, but he recently retired. And last year he had no flights. And so I was like, I need to get something done. And then some persons called me. They said, Petra, but you can do that. You be able, you have the personality for that. Why don't you try it? And I was like, ugh, it's going to be costly. I have a little bit of saving. What am I going to do? But I try it out regardless. And the response was great. So hopefully we look into some brighter future where we in Dominica could have our own airline
Yeah.
flying through the Virgin Islands to give direct flight to our people because they are really struggling out there.
Because that is what I was about to ask you. Are you looking to create a full-fledged airline out of this potentially?
Yes, as long as God give me grace and strength and the finance come on board, that's the aim, to have this airline that could really help us in Dominica, not only to the U.S. Virgin Islands, but also we have the people in Saint Martin, we have people in Antigua who are struggling, and we have people here in U.S. Virgin Islands that need to travel to Saint Kitts, and sometimes they have no flights as well. So the market is there for it, and so I'm just tapping into the potential and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That is quite an endeavor that you have embarked on. And I know that we have folks who listen to this program far and wide, internationally and locally. And at the end of the program, we will share your contact information so we can figure out how this can be grown into potentially a full-fledged airline because you have already proven that it is possible. So where do we go from there? How do we build on your success to date. So thank you very much, Petra, for sharing that wonderful news. And again, you're working on some flights for the carnival season. So hopefully we can get some more information about this at the end of the program. Callister, I want to come over to you because in addition to your passion for agriculture, you're also an author. So tell us some of what you're involved in outside of agriculture before we get started on our main topic this evening.
Well, most people, like I said in my introduction, would know me as the author of a book that is Pink Agriculture. That is my main book. I realize a lot of people tend to gravitate towards that book a little bit more than the two others. So Pink Agriculture basically outlines certain things that people involved in agriculture can do to reach more customers, boost their sales, make more money. It is something that I started quite some years ago. A lot of people would know me. I've been on Q several times before, speaking about that very venture, Agrivertise. And it is through Agrivertise that I ended up, dealing with a lot of persons in agribusiness and listening to their concerns. And so I was able to see where we could make some corrections, if I should put it like that. And those are the things that I put in my book, Pink Agriculture. You can actually read a sample of it if you go to Amazon right now. The book is available on Amazon. There is also a sample that you can read the first few pages. It is a book that has been recommended for use in schools, something that I did not see coming, but one of my readers, if I should say one of my customers, somebody that bought the book, he actually messaged me via WhatsApp and told me that this is a very good book and it should be something that can be used in schools when teaching agriculture. And then I went and looked back at the book and I realized the template, the way in which I wrote it, it's very close to a textbook. It's not very big, but it's very close to a textbook. It begins with starting a business and ends with marketing of agricultural products. It talks about effective communication and a lot of other interesting topics, which will be available on Amazon if you were to click on the view sample button. Apart from that, I have two other books. The second one basically is for persons between 20 to 30 years old. That's my target. Because I realized, I recently turned 30, and I realized those years are very troubling years, if I should say, 20 to 30. It's when you really try to discover who you are. You go through a lot of ups and downs, from relationship to career, choosing a career path, to managing your finances and all those different things. So it is actually a real account of stuff that I went through, mistakes that I made along the way. And I documented it and put it in the form of a book, a very good book as well. If I should say, I would give it a 10 on 10. And we have the final book, which is featuring my son. I am a mother as well. I have a 6-year-old. So the book is called Kai and the Pizza Cloud Man. It is a children's book, and it is pretty much something fictional, not anything real, where basically Kai is calling out to the cloud to make it rain his favorite pizza and so on. And each time the pizza man make it rain, Kai was not pleased with the type of pizza that it was raining because he wanted a particular pizza. And eventually he got his wish when the pizza cloud man made it rain his favorite pizza, which was, I think, pepperoni. And that's when he woke up from a dream, because it was all a dream. A very nice little children's book as well. I think all three of my books are very great books. I have a great mind. I hear that a lot. I know that for myself. And I would just like to encourage people to go to Amazon and check it out wherever you are from across the world. That's a good thing about Amazon. It gave me an opportunity to put my book on there so that people can purchase it from wherever they are across the world. So that's pretty much it about me, Agrivertise, and 3 books.
Yeah, well, I share the sentiment that you both have great minds, because again, you just step in, intrepidly, and just some problems that have stumped most people, like not being able to travel from the USVI to Dominica. You guys said, well, we have to figure out how to solve these problems instead of simply just being stuck on the problem. So again, I want to thank you for being here. So let's talk about your journey into agriculture. How did you get started in agriculture? Let's just share a little bit of your journey into agriculture. So Petra, let's start with you.
Okay, so I raised basically in a like a farm kind of setting. My dad was a farmer by profession, and so our yard never missed anything. My mom used to grow everything in the yard. So I raised eating fresh cabbage, carrots, lettuce, cucumbers, everything you can think of from the yard. And my father did the bananas, plantain, dashings, yams. I raised picking grapefruits on the tree to make my juice and oranges from the trees to make my juice. So I really raised in the background of agriculture. And as I grew up, we tend to move away from it. And then being an adult, I realized that my children have no idea what agriculture is all about. Everything is processed in the shop. And told myself, I can't live like this. I think my growing up was good, and so I decided to embark into helping people recognize the importance of agriculture and including. So that's where I get it from, to teach my children that, what, agriculture is the way forward. You can use it to do a lot of things, because I personally used to go to the ground, pick my carrots. That was our apple at the time. Pick my carrots, rinse it off, and eat it. They used to call us back then Bugs Bunny.
And it's good for your eyes. So are you currently a farmer, or are you involved in getting the markets for the farmers? And tell us how you ended up getting the markets that you're currently supplying in your area.
Yeah, so I'm not a farmer. My husband, by profession, is a farmer. He did farming while he was in Dominica, and then we got the opportunity to come to the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we took the opportunity to come there to give the children exposure to different other options. And so when I came here, the food was tasting way different in the supermarkets. I went to the supermarkets to buy bananas, and I was like, that don't taste like bananas. But
Wow.
I bought melon. It was not tasting like melon. I was like, I can't do that. If I have to stay there, I gotta get my Dominica food up in
Wow.
St. Croix. I cannot eat these type of things. And so I tested with my children something to show them how many this type of things that we are eating. So I took an apple, I bought it from the store, and I took it and I put it out, and I left it for 4 months, and the apple was exactly the same way I took it out from the store. And I
What?
was like, I say, you see what I'm showing you, kids? It's crazy the things that we take in. This is not good. An apple not supposed to be that way after 4 months. Like, it did not shrink. It was still the
It did
apple.
not rot?
It did not shrink in the size. It was the
Right.
same way I bought it, like looking like the same way I bought it from the store after 4 months of just being there. And I was like, no, something is wrong with this. I said to myself, I'm going to find a way to bring food from Dominica to St. Croix for me to eat if I am to going to eat provisions, or else I just eat to rice and macaroni and the stuff, because this is what's not good for me at all. And so this is how I came about thinking, if I could help Dominica now by getting the young people interested and to plant, so that I could buy from them and sell to the supermarkets. So I did go to the supermarkets and find out if they were willing to buy produce from Dominica. And the supermarkets owner who deal with the produce, the managers who deal with the produce, they told me that would be lovely, because one of the best produce they had, it was from Dominica. They told me a gentleman used to do it some years back, and that was one of the best products that they had, the agriculture products that they receive. And I was like, yes. So I that just gave me that extra drive, and I said, come on, guys, let's do it. And so people sent for the box. We had a trip just before Christmas. We have another one happening next week. People send for the provisions to Dominica. I charter an airline as well because I don't have one for myself. So I charter an airline to bring goods from St. Croix to Dominica and then take local produce from Dominica to St. Croix.
So let's not miss any steps in the process. So you had the idea, again, being very intrepid, because most of us would just be like, well, that's what we have, so that's what we're going to eat, whether the banana tastes the same or not. That's what's available. But again, that spirit of being an innovator, you thought to yourself, approach the manager and see how you can get the produce from Dominica. But we're skipping a step. So how did you get in touch with the farmers in Dominica? What was that process like?
Um, so I spoke to people one on one. I put it on Facebook. I asked people to reach out to local farmers they know and give them my
Mhm.
number. I
Mhm.
had my family members speak to people in Dominica. I had my friends in Dominica speak to farmers they know in Dominica and give them my information. And so people keep calling me and asking me if I sure
Wow.
that I will purchase from them. I tell them, well, as long as you're working with me, your produce will get sold, because it's one thing I recognize is that people must eat. And once you can give good food, people will buy good food. And then a lot of Dominicans in St. Croix, they're very happy to eat our food from back home. And so the encouragement, they say, well, Petra, if you're doing it, we will right there with you. And so I have the local people, and then I have the supermarkets who are quite interested in getting our produce. And so that's why I went out to encourage the farmers to go back to the soil and let us take agriculture to the next level, and let us open our markets. Let us discover markets for ourselves. Let's not just sit down and wait for the government to do
Right.
things for us. We have to do things for ourselves, and then in hopes that they will support us financially when they see what we are, where we are going. And so that is my goal right here, is to have people in Dominica plant, and I purchase from them, I sell to the supermarkets, um, help them to become more financially independent, and increase their spending power.
Yeah. So Petra, Calista, I'm coming over to you. But how many farmers, Petra, do you think you're currently working with?
Um, Currently, I work with farmers and non-farmers. There are some people who buy from farmers to resell. So
Oh.
yeah, so they buy from farmers to resell. So I have probably like 10 to 11 persons that are willing to work with me. And then I have three people who were not farmers, but they had agricultural land. So they went to clear the land to start planting peppers and fast crops that have a fast turnover, to assist me with that market as well.
Because I hear peppers are in great demand.
Yes, it is. Seasoning
Yeah.
peppers are in great demand. Yes.
Yes, so I'm going to come back to you because we have so much more to unpack in terms of what you're saying, but such a brilliant idea. And I like the fact that you recognize that all too often we sit and we wait for the government. Yes, the government has a role to play in the development of Dominica and the development of agriculture and the other sectors of the economy, but we see that after 20, 23 years, we see where we are, and we have to ask the question, what can we do for ourselves to advance ourselves, despite the fact that we do not sometimes feel the support of government and the agencies that are supposed to be leading the way with these ventures? So I want to come back to you because I want to know, I'll come back to you in a minute, because I want to know whether you've received support from the government, whether you're working with Dexia and other agencies in Dominica to create even more opportunities for the farmers of Dominica. But let's take a pause on you and go over to Callister as she tells us more about Agrivertise and how that came about.
Well, I did agriculture at the Dominica State College. That's where I started. And from there, this is a story that I told a lot of times already. From there, I had a field research project to do where I was responsible to find out whether the large scale farm, wait, whether the farmers who have a job and still do farming on the side pose any threats to people who just do farming as their main source of income. I think that was the problem that we were supposed to research. And from that project, I ended up meeting a lot of farmers, and speaking to them about the challenges that they face. And so I realized that there was a challenge in terms of finding markets for their products. And this is how, after I graduated from school, I started Agrivertise as a venture that was responsible for connecting buyers to sellers and so on. So Agrivertise was pretty much like a middleman. If the hotels needed something, then they get to me, I get to somebody that has it available. So that's how I started Agrivertise, pretty much connecting buyers to sellers of agricultural
And
goods.
how has it grown? How long have you been doing this business, and how has it grown?
It has been quite some time. I haven't focused on it from the time that I started it. I let it go a lot, if I should say, and came back to it.
Mhm.
But it is a challenge. It is a challenge because of the
Okay.
way that I was doing it. I was doing it with limited resources because, again, I was fresh from college. So I was doing it with limited resources, and I realized there was a lot of challenges in terms of the reliability, consistency, even price control, and those type of things. So I was pretty much understanding everything, and that's how I ended up writing my book, Pink Agriculture. It is because of the challenges that I came across while trying to do agrivertise, which is, like I said, stuff like pricing and other little stuff, which is in the book.
Yeah,
So that's pretty much.
and I'm just sitting here thinking these opportunities are screaming for investors, because you clearly have the correct mindset in terms of all that is possible for Dominica. But again, because your resources may be limited, the opportunities you're creating are also limited. So the question to both of you guys, do you have investors? Have you reached out to potential investors? Have you reached out to Dexia, other government agencies that could potentially, grow the companies that you have created?
Um,
No. No, I don't have investors, and I have not reached out to Dexia personally. I use a middleman to reach out to Dexia to see mm, um, how we could collaborate. But then again, I'll be honest with you. I feel to myself that communication and collaboration in Dominica is very, very hard
It
to work
is.
with people. It's very, very hard. It's like everybody feel frightened when you come up with the idea like you're going to take something away from them, and they try to hide what they offering. Like, so that is how I look at it. Because when I reach out to them, I say, hey guys, this is what I want to do. Um, this like, oh, we just selling for people. We don't do that type of thing. We just sell for people. So if you want something, we can look for it for you, but that is how we do it. And I was like, I mean, I am bringing an opportunity where we could work together and help the farmers in Dominica, because yes, you have some countries, but I open a whole other markets where you could tap into, and you like, if you want something, we can try to get it for you, but it's through a middleman. So I was hoping like in this coming year, when things start picking up, that I would come to Dominica myself and do my own talking and get things on the ground in Dominica, because I really believe if we push agriculture in Dominica, we'll be surprised of what we can do for ourselves. Because I remember that gentleman way back, maybe when I was young, 13, 14 years, they were agriculture, they were farmers, and they bought their vehicles cash for 80
Yes.
and $90,000 cash with no debt. Back in the days when I was 13 and 14 years, the farmers build their house, they send their children to school without taking 8 bank loans. I mean, farming had to be good back then for you to be able to do these things. Just imagine now when it have more population, we have a better way to reach people. There is so much opportunity if we only just support each other and get agriculture blooming in Dominica.
Yeah, so same question to, thank you, Petra. Same question to you, Callister, in terms of investors, in terms of Dexia, in terms of government support for what you're doing.
Well, I have quite a few people that advise me in various ways. There are always people who have different ideas, different concepts, different ways as to how they think you should do stuff. But as to the financial backing, that is something that is still lacking. But I must say that I have a few people that I call on when I need mentorship. A few people that will encourage me to keep going. A few, even the people that support me, my suppliers, they are the ones that I really depend on right now. The few suppliers that are willing to work with me. But in terms of financial backing, I can't say anything much because I feel like that is still lacking, honestly.
And we have to look at the elephant in the room because unfortunately, growing up in Dominica, there was a stigma attached to agriculture where many times parents would say to their children, if you don't learn in school, you have to go plant bananas. So what is that saying to a child if you're telling them that if you don't learn in school, you have to go plant bananas? Like planting bananas is a derogatory a way of earning a living. So what are your thoughts in terms of getting past that stigma, which still exists because we hear a lot of young people say, agriculture is dirty business, they don't want to get involved. So how do we get past that stigma so that we can grow the businesses that you've started?
That's me.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
let me just say,
okay,
Petra, go ahead.
yes, go ahead,
Oh,
Callister.
Petra, go ahead.
Okay, one of the ways we can help with this is, like I say, we need to educate the young people and show them progress reports. Like people want to know that these things work, and you can only show them by giving them results. And we can get some of the elderly people who use farming back, who were farmers back then, who build their homes, buy vehicles, send their children to school, who accomplish something to mentor the young people and let them know the importance of agriculture and how they can use agriculture to be financially independent and to sustain themselves and their family by extension and even build generational wealth. Because some of the farmers, things they left for the children when they passed on is from farming. They didn't go to school, they was not educated, but they were great farmers. And just imagine now the people going to school, how we can use that, because now with technology and we can use technology at our advantage because we already have the expertise from our elderly folks who know everything about the soil and everything else. So this is how I feel we should go out to talk to the young people, show them the importance of doing farming, and not only that, but the way they can change their lifestyle. And once people know they can become better people doing something, I think they will gravitate to it more.
Yeah, and before I come to you, Callister, it boils down to showing them the money because you guys have
Yeah.
already started the work. So it's not like you're coming to them in theory to say, well, you could potentially earn this, you could potentially earn that. You currently have farmers who are earning money from your projects. So it is important to have the farmers who are earning the money say to young people, well, I'm earning X, Y, and Z. Here's the amount of money I'm making. So you too can make a lot of money from farming. So Callister, your thoughts on the question?
I believe that I always think like agriculture is what provides our basic needs. And again, this is something that I say on almost every interview that I talk about agriculture. When you have a sector providing our basic needs, not our wants, our needs, I find it funny that the people involved in that sector are considered, give me a term,
Less
considered,
than. Less than.
you understand. That is just funny because our basic needs would be our food, something that we eat almost every day. And whether you plant it in your backyard or you go in the supermarket and buy it, it came from somewhere. Because even if you were to go and get rice, that rice wasn't, well, they say they're making rice now, but let's talk about the rice that come out in the ground. Most of the stuff that we eat on a daily basis stems from agriculture. So it means that something else is the issue, because our clothing stems from agriculture. When you have to talk about wool and all this stuff, what else? Our shelter, which is the lumber, the wood that we use, stems from agriculture. So I feel like farmers should be one of the richest set of people alive because they are the ones sustaining the entire world.
As a
If I
matter of
should
fact,
put it like that.
I was on your website earlier, and you said agriculture is a big business, and therefore anyone directly involved should be a millionaire. Tell us about
Yes,
that.
and that is on my book as well. That is that is on my book. I still believe it because it is something that there is another issue. There must be another issue. Maybe it is that the people not producing enough, or maybe it is farm management, maybe it is consistency. There is some other underlying issue. Because if we were to really tap into the power that farmers have to really let everybody starve. I mean, come on, farmers need to understand their power. And once they understand their power, then they will have more control of their prices on the market, which is something I notice is lacking as well. I mean, I am the middleman, but I am still
Standardized
advocating
pricing.
on the. Hmm?
The
I'm
standardized
still
pricing is
advocating.
lacking.
Yeah, price control. I mean, there's a little bit of something going on. You might see a little price control trying something here and there. But I realize that a lot of the farmers don't have control of their prices. You cannot be in a business and somebody else is pricing your product for you. And I think all that is in my book. You cannot be in a business and when you put a set of products on your table, you just watch it and you give it a price. Where you getting that price from? The sky? So in my book, I talk about having a standardized unit of measurement for pricing of agricultural produce. Because you cannot just watch free cucumbers on a table, something that I always say in my interviews, and just give it a price. When you do that, you will never be able to accurately measure the profit that you make from your produce. Because you're just pricing things by key by.
Right,
But that
absolutely.
will also come with, sorry, I tend to get a little bit excited when I
No,
talk about that.
keep going, keep going.
That will also come with record keeping, which is another thing that I suspect is lacking. Because in order for you to be able to measure your profit, you must be able to know, okay, this is what I spent for inputs, this is what I paid for labor and stuff like that. Our farmers don't do that. So there is something lacking, and my book talks about that. I think one of the first chapters is changing your mindset. How do you make that transition from seeing farming as a hobby to seeing it as a business? The very first chapter in my book, starting a business, because that's where we must start. Once you start there, then you're going to know, okay, you have a projected income, you have projected expenditure and all those kind of stuff. But we need to first make that transition from the mindset, that area.
And have you thought of using that book, because it sounds like you've done extensive reflection and potentially research for that book. Have you thought of using that book to create workshops for the farmers? Because clearly there is a need for education. And we also have to talk about if students are being trained in agriculture in Dominica. But let's talk about the potential of using the book that you've written, Pink Agriculture, as and creating workshops where we can reach more of the farmers and educate them. What are your thoughts on that?
I have thought about that. I had one prominent person reach out to me on that in that regard. I'm just waiting for the opportunity. But again, it is something that I don't think I can handle on my own. I might need to liaise with government officials to make this happen.
And which brings back the question of networking. Now, have you and Petra thought of working together? Because it sounds like you're building the local market in terms of providing the produce for the local market. And here we have Petra on the regional level, and potentially we can take this to the international level. So, have you and Petra thought of collaborating in some way to advance your projects? But before we do, let me just acknowledge the folks on Facebook: Khalid, Winsty, Shumain. I see you guys. Winsty, thank you for the question. Guys, please feel free to post your questions on Facebook. We're coming over to take your questions in just a little bit. But the potential for collaboration, Petra, what do you think?
Yes. Well, I was while he was she was speaking, I was saying this was would be a great opportunity for us to do a workshop together because in 2020 December I did a financial workshop together with some other young people in Dominica on financial literacy and wealth building and so forth. So I believe if we work together as a team, we could really reach the young people in Dominica and show them not only on the agricultural side. I could do the financial part of it, and she could do the agricultural part of it, and we could basically give them a hold around up about how agriculture is important not only for our survival but also to supply and the demand it have locally and regionally and even internationally. Yes, collaboration would be good, and that is something we will talk about when we finish the show. We will keep in contact with each other and probably have something like that going. And as I say, we have to do it for ourselves. We don't really have to rely on the government. There are other people out there who will support us as long as we can show them where we are going and they see the potential in what we're doing, they will come on board. There are a lot of people who are supportive all day. I have a lot of friends in the United States who say, like, Petra, if you're doing something, we cannot give you, we cannot buy the plane, but we could get people to do small investments with you if the need arise. So yes, we could put those workshops together. And now with technology, we don't even have to be in the same place. We could do it via Zoom, educate the people via Zoom, and so there are endless possibilities to get Dominicans involved in agriculture. And I love the question that you state about putting the book. I'm using it as a guideline in school. And one of the things I realize in Dominica, we tend to move away from the things that can really help us in Dominica and try to go the way of the international, the world on a whole. And we remove this technological thing from our classroom and we concentrate more on academics and we forget about agriculture, not realizing agriculture is the foundation for what we in Dominica stand for. It's because of agriculture that I am who I am today, because my father was a farmer and that was our main income. And that's what he used to send me to school. And I never lack. I never lack in things that I needed. There are some things I wanted because other children had it and I wanted it, but it was not a need. And it's only as I grow up now I realize the very significance. We really just need to go back and show them how significant agriculture is in as a whole, not just backyard farming, but agriculture as a whole. Just imagine us being in Dominica. We have the perfect soil, we have water sources, we are right there in the Caribbean. We can be a hub from north and south. And so we can maximize on that. Our location give us our location, our weather. We have everything it takes to strive in agriculture. And I think if the young people just get on board and say, hey, we're going to do it together, we can move Dominica forward regardless of having the government and backup help us out.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, there are so many others who are passionate about agriculture who I'm sure would be willing to join in with you. I know Mr. Adrian Banis, he's a regular listener to the program. Mr. Banis, if you're listening this evening, good evening to you, sir. And I'm sure he would be passionate to work with you. Jeff Bellot comes to mind. So I know that there's so many other Dominicans who will want to be a part of what you're doing, because again, we're looking at opportunities both in the regional markets and in the local markets for how to advance agriculture, and we're missing out on opportunities. We're missing out on opportunities. When I listen to, Alvin Thomas mention that Barbados is now providing bananas to Suriname, it begs the question, why aren't we the leaders in terms of producing and creating the markets within the Caribbean? We are supposed to be the food basket of the Caribbean because we have everything. We have the soil, we have the sun, we have the abundance of water. So we are supposed to be in the lead when it comes to agriculture. So it begs the question, why are we not there? And again, Facebook, keep the questions and the comments coming. Mr. Alex Powell, Bruno, good evening to you, sir. Thank you for being with us. We're coming to Facebook in about 10 minutes, and stand by for your telephone calls in 10 minutes as well. So let's continue with the conversation. So tell us about the obstacles that you are facing and the support that you need to grow these businesses. So Callister, let me start with you. Talk about some of the challenges and some of the obstacles that are hindering your growth with Agrivertise.
I think I only have, not only, but I think my main, like 80% of my problem revolves around a lack of finance right now.
Yes.
Because I think I have a pretty good understanding as to what the issues are and how we can resolve those issues, but it takes resources to work on those on resolving those issues.
Tell us about
And
some of the issues.
reaching the target audience that I want to reach.
Tell us about some of the issues that you're referring to.
Some of the issues in agriculture.
Yes, that you're referring to, that having funding would help to solve those issues. For example, I know you have a website. It takes money to maintain and build a website.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is one of it. I realize a lack of, like, even if I were to tell the people that they need to start using technology, I realize that based on the age range of the people in agriculture right now in Dominica, it is a challenge because lack of knowledge. We have maybe a lack of interest too, and a lack of knowledge. Most of the people actively involved in agriculture, about 40 now and upward, those are people that just want to focus on the labor aspect of things and not necessarily the online aspect of it. So in the event that I cannot get them to use the technology, then I will need a team backing me up that can help me to manage the the produce of the farmers and giving them the exposure that they need, especially online, because that pretty much is what Agrivertise is about. I am focused heavily on cultivating an online agricultural marketplace.
Yeah, and that is where the digital natives come in, our young people. That
Yes.
is where the young people come in. So again, there is a role for every member of our society. So yes, you have the farmers who want to focus on the land. They want to focus on what they've done for 50, 60 years, tilling their land, growing their crops, producing their crops. And then we have the business of agriculture. So this is where a mind like Callister and Petra comes in with the business of agriculture. And then we have space for the digital natives, the young people who have never known a world without technology. That is what they're called. They're called digital natives. We're learning something new this evening. And, these are the ones that the extension of their hands are the cell phones. And having your cell phone as an extension of your hand is not always a bad thing. Sometimes we think of it as a negative, but it can be a positive. Because if they are working with someone like Callister, someone like Petra, to bring the technology aspect of this into being, for the exposure on social media, for managing Callista's website so that she's able to grow her business, those are important roles. So when we speak agriculture to our young people, not only if they're interested in the land, that's wonderful, but we have to broaden the conversation. We have to let our young people know that being involved in agriculture is not only about tilling the land, it is about using your creativity and looking at,
Mm-hmm.
for example, agrivoltaics and figuring out, well, what can we do a little bit differently, a little bit better to gain more customers, to sell more produce so that we can continue to empower our farmers. So over to you, Petra. Thank you so much, Calista. Over to you, Petra. Some obstacles that you face with your business. And I believe that your business is called George Shipping and Things. Is that what it's called?
Judge Shipping Agency and Things LLC.
Agency. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. So one of the challenges, the main challenge I have is, well, two of them. The first one is transportation. It's really, really difficult and costly to transport produce to and from the US Virgin Islands. And two, to get the produce that you want in Dominica, the produce that is in demand in the US Virgin Islands. Um, because if I don't get the produce, I cannot supply to the people. And if I cannot supply to the people, people like consistency. And
Yes.
if you cannot consistently meet their demands because they sell for the all of the US Virgin Islands, they're consumers. So you have to be able to meet that. So if I cannot meet it, after a while, they will look for somebody else who could meet that demand. And then that will be, the market will no longer be available to us as it is now. Because we also have to remember, once you start something, you bring other people who has more capital, can work on what you already start and just take up this innovative idea of yours and bring it to the next level. So financing is one of the greatest challenge I have, for both for my transportation of goods, and the other challenge is getting the what the goods needed or in demand from Dominica. So that is some things that we have to work on as a people. We have to figure out a way how to have produce available all year round. And I was speaking to somebody and I say we need to go to Dominica and do some courses with them and let people know. We have to use our technology to collect data to see which parts in Dominica grows what produce all year round, and get the farmers invested in that particular product, and so that you don't have everybody planting the same thing, and so to overwhelm the market with one thing and then something else is lacking. So we have to educate the farmers on planting, but planting smart, to have the market all year round. So we know the north and the west have different climates, different parts of the year. So we have to do some data collection to see what crops grows best in Salisbury and at what time, and so what crops grow best in Marigot and at what time, so we could maximize on these crops at a particular time to get more out of the farmers. And I believe if we work as a team, if we get other people on board, people that know more about agriculture. Me personally, I just do it my the transportation and getting the markets for the produce. I don't know so much about agriculture. I love eating our produce, but I don't know so much about land and the land PhD, what is needed. I don't know what is growing in Salisbury and what's best to grow in Marigot. I don't have this type of knowledge, but I know there are extension officers in Dominica, which is their job, and that's what they do for their living. And so if they could come on board and not see it as trying to be political, and leave that politics aside and come together as people to move our people from that level of poverty to a level of comfort where people can have money to spend. And we don't see the whole cycle of it, but people have to remember, well, I do accounting for all my life, so I like to talk about money. People have to
Mhm.
remember, when you have spending power, you increase the economy in a country. Once you have spending power, the economy is increasing in the country because on Friday nights, the partners by the road can go down by the road and buy barbecue, they can buy beer, and so that the bartenders get that income because that's their job. So that's what they wait on to make that income for their family. So not only we saying that for one set of persons, it's going to help everybody in the country because more you have, more you make, more you spend. The fishermen will be part of it as well because people will not be able to buy fish from the fishermen and not complain about the cost because now they have the money to buy it. And so we have to look at it in all aspects of life. Agriculture is just a starting point to bring us to a more comfortable living. And we have to think about those nice trips that we like to take. Imagine taking your family to intercontinental.
Intercontinental.
Yes,
Mhm.
on their birthday. Think of the nice things that you can acquire by having that extra spending power. So when you think about agriculture, you think about the dirty work because the dollars does not say where it come from. My father used to say that to me all the time. Money doesn't say, well, I am a garbage man. That's a garbage man $10. Once you give somebody legal tender, that's all they concern about. So we have to try to shift the mindset of our young people and get them to see that agriculture is just the foundation of a better life, not only for themselves, but for the generations to come.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm so happy that you brought up several important points, Petra, because one of them is consistency. The farmers being able to consistently supply the produce that is needed. Because I remember listening to an interview with Dr. Thompson Fontaine, and that is what he mentioned that they had secured a market for farmers in Dominica. And one of the greatest obstacles that they faced was that there was not a consistency in the level of produce that was available to be shipped out of Dominica. So it begs the question the role of the Ministry of Agriculture, the role of Dexia,
Mm.
and these the bodies that should be monitoring, for example, what you mentioned in terms of how much of what produce is needed at a particular time and how do we get to that point. So it's almost like having a yearly calendar of knowing what is needed at a particular time, how much of what produce, and where we're going to sell it. So it begs the question, what is the role of the extension officers? What is the role of the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of ensuring that the business aspect that Callister mentioned, the business aspect of agriculture is created? The structure is there so that farmers can concentrate on their farming, which they rightfully should, but the business of agriculture is not left up to the farmers. So I'm really enjoying our conversation this evening. I want you to take a break, maybe a sip of water, take a breather. And thank you so much for all the information you've provided so far. So let us go over and invite our callers to join the conversation. And I see Facebook is flooded with comments, so I'm going to jump over to Facebook in a little while. But if you just join us, we are here with two innovative and enterprising ladies out of Dominica. We have Petra Cabon George, who currently lives in St. Croix. Got that right? And we have Miss Callister J. Sango, and we are both talking to them about the opportunities they're creating in agriculture, because it is one thing to talk about what we need, but I think it is important to bring on the people who are doing the work. And so we can have them say what they're doing, and then we can talk about what they need and what each one of us as Dominicans, as friends of Dominica, can contribute to what they're doing so that we can have a positive financial impact on our Dominican brothers and sisters at home and abroad. So we're talking about what are the new paths to securing financial opportunities in agriculture in Dominica in 2024. And we want to keep mentioning the name of their businesses. So we have Agrivertise, which is Miss Callister business. And then we have George Shipping Agency and Things, which is Miss Petra carbon, George. So ladies, thank you so much for the contribution so far. We have a lot more to unpack, so thank you for staying with us. Lambi, let me come over to you so you can give out the phone numbers so we can invite our callers to call in.
You are listening and also viewing Roots Connection on Q. We are now taking your calls. The numbers are 449 3095, 449 3096, 449 3097, 616 4257. These are all local numbers. And for those living outside of Dominica, the overseas number is 305 432 9624. The numbers again 449 3095, 449 3096, 449 3097, 616 4257, or local numbers, and the overseas number 305 432 9624. And we already have a call on the line, so let's take this call. Caller, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening to you, Lambi. Good evening to your entire crew in studio. I really want to commend you all on a very interesting and informative program. But again, the problem with agriculture in Dominica is there is lack of motivation. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the root cause of the problem in Dominica is that the powers that is they have failed agriculture, they have failed the people of Dominica for the simple reason. I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago, Roosevelt Skerrit promised the people of Dominica, the farmers, the hucksters, 2 cargo boats where you could move agriculture produce from north to south, meaning from maybe Guyana in the south and even the USVI in the north. Jig at 12 man, the farmers of Dominica waiting on that cargo boat. This government is, I mean, I'm not saying not to depend on government for everything, but that was something that if they had done that, the farmers, people in Dominica would be more motivated. But instead, these guys out there just using Dominica passport, selling Dominica passport rather than utilizing Dominican natural resources. So hence, that's the problem right there. On that note, I will say good night. Take care. Stay blessed.
Yes, thank you, caller. And you are absolutely correct, because we have to go back to, I believe it was Vince Henderson who said, if not CBI money, then what? So this is the then what we should have been invested in, because again, we talk about the need for the Ministry of Agriculture to create the business structure in terms of what is needed, what do we currently have, and opening those markets. So that answers the questions of if not the CBI, then what? And not only, caller, do we remember what you referenced, but I also looked at another interview where the Prime Minister was promising $1 million facility in Granby. And I'm wondering, well, has that project started? Is that project currently in progress? So again, it goes back to what Petra mentioned before, that we have to take a stand and we have to do what we need to do in order to move agriculture forward, because again, we see the lack of interest in developing farming. So let's go ahead and take a few comments on Facebook. And ladies, please feel free to write down anything you want to respond to. We have Khalid who says PSS CO97 representing, blessings to all. Did somebody go to PSS on the panel? Okay.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. So that's for you, Petra. Wednesday choice spot locked. Shemaine Isaac says, go girl. Shemaine Isaac, 2 thumbs up. Wednesday, we have a phone call. Let's take the phone call.
Good evening, caller. Please go ahead with the call.
Yes, good evening. That's one of the most interesting programs as a returning Dominican. In the past 6 months, I returned to Dominica. That's one of the best programs I've ever heard.
Thank you.
On the radio in my entire life for Dominica. It's just a pity it's just a woman alone that has to come up there and say that. What about the men?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one of we have the most, when I tell you, the utmost best soil in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and we just neglect it. And we have 700, what do you call it, farmers that go in Canada, America, from Dominica, and to make planting for other people, agriculture, all type of fruits and things. And we have all that here, as the lady just pointed out. And we are lacking because we are lazy people. We are not together. We're supposed to get together, my God. We have it. You know, we could, as the lady said, we have everything in our hands right now with the internet, with technology. You know, we could give, I mean, people who are interested in buying, we could give them percentage like duty free, let them come and get the product. Whereas our price is already in there for taxes or whatever. You know, because so we have it. Why don't we use it? Saudi Arabia have oil. They're using the oil. They will see how they build their kingdom in the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have water.
Mm-hmm.
And they build a mighty kingdom where they are one of the most powerful countries right now in the earth, in this world. What's wrong with we Dominicans? Why can't we get together and put all these politics and all these guys that making easy money from tourism, lazy? They don't want to keep, as the ladies point out, we need to educate our people about farming. Lord, we don't have to go nowhere and send our people overseas, migrant workers. We could put them 700 migrant workers we sending to Canada, right? And America to farm other people and to make them rich. We could give them the land here and support them. What's wrong with us now in Dominica?
Mm-hmm.
We have it. Let's use it properly. Let's educate the young generation. I say that every day from the time I come back to Dominica. I am 72 years old, going on 73. And I lived Dominica when I was 15, sailing, going back and coming back and forth. I love this country, but we are lazy people. And we don't want to admit it. And as the lady said, we need to educate these people about farming because that's what God gave us. But we have to use what Mother Nature gave us before Father Time takes it away. Good night.
Yes, absolutely, caller. Thank you so much. I share your sentiments. Lambi, just give me 1 minute before we take the next call. I share your sentiment, but I also think that we do not have the enabling environment. So when we think in terms of Dominicans not being as productive, we always have to remember that the same Dominicans we see as not being productive in Dominica, they run over to Antigua and they have 3 and 4 jobs. So what is that telling us about the environment in Dominica, which is causing people to not want to work and instead want to beg for a daily bread? So we have to look at the environment because the same people we see as lazy in Dominica, when we go overseas, we have 2 and 3 jobs because we are hungry for opportunity. But again, caller, thank you so much. I certainly share your sentiments in terms of everything that is possible for Dominica. Lambi, is the caller still available?
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Good evening, season greetings, Simo.
Good
My
evening.
hero. I ask God to bless you and your family for the rest of the year and years to come. You have been doing a great job for country. God bless you. God bless your panel.
Thank you.
It is always boiled down, no matter what good plan Dominicans have. It always boils down to funds. It always boils down to lack of finances. Mm-hmm. You believe a government that sells over 40,000 passports after 23 years. Our women, not men, men will take anything. Our women taking a role in agriculture. It boils down again. Lack of financing. That means to say this guy is not interested in that at all. Come and beg him. You better red or dead. But I am so excited for Dominica because I doing my own research. And let me pass on a little message to the farmers, Dominica. I have been doing my research in St. Thomas. The Christmas yam, which we call the Baba Hule, is becoming a very popular yam, just like Irish potato in the Virgin Islands. The only problem is the farmers in Dominica selling the head of the yam, and we need to stop that practice. We need to send the yam that the people cook because they're complaining, they're putting it in the pot and it never cooks. So now we don't spoil that market. It's a big market in the Virgin Islands. But Simo, I'm telling you, I'm excited because I was talking to a guy from Africa and I was asking him what the people of South Sudan want, what they will want, because we know it's about 43 million people. And we know we have a guy up there, Dr. Fountain. What they will want, and the man tell me coffee up there. The people love coffee. So I know a future in agriculture is big forward for Dominica. We need to take agriculture serious. But for us to do that, the top has to take it serious. And for the top to take it serious, they're ready to already. We need to vote them guys and put people that are willing to work with those farmers in a better situation. God bless Dominica. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ladies, any comments you want to make on our callers' contribution this evening?
Yeah, well, like the caller said, the market is there, and I have to agree. And like everything else, when opportunity come knocking to your door, if you don't take it, then your sister country will take it. And so we have to be very careful and mindful of that we don't just sleep on this opportunity that is opening up for us. So like my grandmother used to say, beat the iron while it's hot. So while we are here, let us do it. I'm not sure if I'm here to stay all that long. But as long as God give me life and strength, I will push Dominica Produce. I will do my best to work with the people in Dominica. I also have a young lady. I saw she making cacos and she packaging it so nicely and toloma and so forth. And I reach out to her and she's willing to work with me as well. But like I say, the potential is there and people want to do it. And we are not lazy people in Dominica. We are just people without opportunities. And so people get frustrated when they use their energy towards something and nothing is becoming of it. We get tired of trying to get different results using the same method, and then we give up. But when we go overseas, there's so much opportunities and resources that we can use that we become more creative. It appears that we are more creative when we travel abroad, but that's not true. It's just the limited resources and opportunities we have in Dominica, that makes us look like we are lazy. But we are not lazy people. We are very resilient people. We are hardworking people, and so we need to put people in offices that is going to give us the opportunity to tap into our own selves and bring out that good results that we know we have inside. So people need to change their mindset and think about the future and not just about now. Not the what you can get now. You can get $5 when you use it, it's finished. But look at people who are going to invest in you, that you can make your own $5 and tomorrow that you could make $10 because they invest something in with you and in you.
Yeah, before I come to you, Callister, I think we have a phone call.
Good evening, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm back again. Oh, the statement this other gentleman said about relying on government, we got to get these people out of our lives. Dominicans must get these politicians or these policies out of our lives because they are doing nothing for Dominica more than I call it the treaties. Talk, take, and travel. That's all they do. They don't do nothing else. Where they getting the money from? Where they getting the wages from? From you and I that work in the farm. I have seen policemen here in Dominica, nurses, and going in New York. People now have high-profile jobs there. They go in New York, but they have to take a babysitting job. The policemen have to take a construction job. Why? Because that's where the money lays. You understand what I'm trying to say, sir?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say, we got to get these politicians and put our resources together. A few years ago, I came to Dominica with $500,000, and it didn't take much time for it to just disappear. Where it go, I don't see what I do with it. We haven't got the population here to sustain ourselves. You know, we need to bring people here, but we have to bring people that want to come back, Dominicans like me and millions of other Dominicans out there. They want to come back home. We want to come home. Some of us are very young, as I said, right? We aging now. We want to come back home and invest something, but we got to get together and put our resources together. And forget about the government help, because these people are takers, stalkers, and travelers.
Yes, thank you, caller. And again, looking at the population, as you mentioned, we see here yet another example of not thinking of Dominica as only the population on the ground. We have to think beyond the population on the ground in terms of selling our products and services. But Callister, let me give you an opportunity to share any thoughts you have at this time.
I did not have any comments really, except that I heard one caller mention about coffee being a product that is in high demand. I know that there are some agricultural products, and I think I mentioned that in my book, Pink Agriculture, as well. There are some that are hotter than others in terms of sales. So I think if we can actually capitalize on that, the products that sell faster, you can encourage the farmers to plant more of those types of products, because they are the ones that might bring a faster return. Stuff like cocoa is always in high demand as well. Irish potato is something that doesn't stay long. Like Petra said earlier, seasoning peppers. We have a few crops that sell much better than others. So if we were to focus on that, then maybe we might see a small change.
Absolutely. Yeah, so let's take some more comments from Facebook. I think, Petra, you answered that question from Winsty Choice Spot. He says, have you considered processed products? So it looks like you're going in that direction. William James, I am here shaking my head. I am 63 years old now. When Hurricane David devastated Dominica, I was 19 years old. The issue you now talk about still exists. I was willing to work hard in agriculture when I was 17, along with my brother who was 19. One of the biggest problems is to not just have meetings telling the youth you can be a millionaire. That's not realistic. There are a series of things that has to happen simultaneously. So thank you for your comment, William James. And he also says, who is going to do the marketing? Very important question. Alexia Roberts, I like the topic. Very interesting. Great ideas. We must build generational wealth for our children. Legacy, very important. Look for Dominica. William James and project management. Alex Powell, Bruno, thank you for being here. He says, Petra is an absolute inspiration. Glenda Jean says, congratulations to you both. Medora Jacinta Pierre, I have always, we see so many NEP workers on the road cutting grass. Why not put some of these people in agriculture to help the farmers? The farmers need the help, besides they are aging. Glenda Jean says, Medora Pear, that's true. William James putting icing on the cake, that doesn't exist. Winsty says, challenge here to you, Petra. Taking Dominica products to St. Croix. I am sure you can get our products to other U.S. states. Good point. With available produce products from Dominica. William James, let her answer the question. What are some of the difficulties she didn't answer? I think they both answered that question, William, but thank you for your comment. Ted Serra, thank you for being here. We cannot talk seriously about agriculture in Dominica without addressing the large acreage of the best accessible plantation and estates land that lie fallow. Carlos Charles, great to have you on board, Carlos. Technology is very important in promoting agriculture. There are new and innovative ways of doing things. example, watering plants digitally, yes, and for the sales aspect in terms of selling online, both locally and regionally. Let's see, Frances Vidal, congratulations. Lauren Del Sol, always great to see you. Good evening, everyone. Interesting topic. Fearless says, hello, I have the land, but no money for labor and plants. Where can I get help? So our viewers are raising such important questions and concerns. Fearless needs help to get started. Sandra Carbon, you go sis. Lipson Massicot, Canister, I think she meant Callister. I'm proud of you. John Carbon, so true. Petra Carbon George. Okay, I think she's responding to someone online. And then Petra Carbon George again. Fearless, you can start by planting lettuce, cucumber, and seasoning peppers. So comments from the comments on Facebook. I especially like the comment that referenced the importance of marketing. How are you marketing your services so that you can grow the companies that you have started? Callister, we'll go with you first.
Persons who follow me online will know. I mean, if you are my follower, whether on my personal page or on my business page, Agrivertise, you will realize that I've been posting a lot recently. Also, via WhatsApp, you will realize that I've been making use of the technology in terms of promoting not just Agrivertise, but the products of the people that I work with, because I do retail sales for a lot of my suppliers, for a few suppliers that I work with directly. So yeah, I utilize technology because I am young and I see that this is one of the main avenues that we can use to help to boost sales of agricultural products. I just need other people to see that vision, because Agrivertise pretty much is a platform where the farmers can work at ease and just go like I am sitting right now on that couch and just post their product on my website. So it is something that if we get enough engagement, it can really be something that can put the farmers at ease in terms of sales and marketing of their products. So Agrivertise can pretty much be something like Amazon, but specifically for agriculture. And if you were to go to agrivertise.com right now, you will realize that that is pretty much what it is like, an online agricultural marketplace. So the intention is to get our people to not think of waking up 4 a.m. in the morning and go to the market. I still realize that we have people waking up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning to go on the market. That is something that if we were to, Agrivertise can solve that issue. You can actually sleep in your bed all night as long as we grow the platform to something that to what I think it can be. But we will get there eventually. So in terms of marketing, I think that's where I'm strong. We just have some issues relating to production and consistency, reliability, and a little bit of lack of resources.
And also just kind of walk us through the process of becoming a vendor on Agrivertise, because I think some might be interested in becoming a vendor. So walk us through the process. If I were to become a vendor on Agrivertise, then walk me through the process of, do I need to set up an account? Do I need to have a login information? Do I need to have pictures of my produce? Just kind of walk us through the process of becoming a vendor, and then walk us through also the process of buying online. Do I type in Dashin? Do I type in Fig, and then it brings up the options?
It's pretty simple to register online. Right now, I limited the persons who can register to Dominica and I think St. Lucia, because I have worked with suppliers from St. Lucia as well. So I felt like maybe I can leave it open for St. Lucia still. I lived there for a year, so I feel like I kind of understand St. Lucia and Dominica is similar in a lot of ways. So yeah, I think right now persons from St. Lucia and Dominica can easily go on there. You will see a button that says login or sign up. Once you click on that, then you will just follow the steps that are there. So you can do it on your own at your leisure using any device that you want to, or you can contact me directly. I can actually sign you up on my end because I am the administrator of the website. So you can do it on your end, or you can contact me. For those people who are not really tech savvy, I can help you to sign up. Yes, you will need login credentials like a password and your business name. So it will ask you to put in that information. And once you sign up, you will be required to put in your photos of your products and the prices that I will work with, because right now the pricing is in US, but I can easily work on that, because every product that a vendor puts in, I must approve it before it becomes live on the site. So I will always go through it and liaise with the vendor to make the necessary adjustments. So it is something that is it's pretty easy to do, especially for me. And I just hope that the people that are interested, if you cannot do it on your own, you can always reach out to me. In terms of buying.
And then once you're done talking, do me a favor and just type your contact information, if it's an email address, in terms of how folks can get in touch. If you type it in the comments on Facebook, and then I'll read it out to our listeners on the radio as well. But yes, go ahead. In terms of buying.
In terms of buying, it is pretty much like Amazon. I know a lot of people locally are buying online. We have a lot of people complaining about duty and all those kind of things. So I'm aware that we have quite a few people buying online via sites like Amazon. So Agrivertise is something similar to Amazon. You can just go in there, you will see a search, should I say button, and you can actually search for whatever you want. You have categories, so if you select that drop down, you might see categories that it will it will automatically show you fruit products relating to whatever you're trying to search for. Or you can just look for where it says shop, and then if you click on that, you will see a few products that are available. Right now I tend to focus on people who are more reliable, because agriculture is something that it turns a lot in terms of availability. So this is something you might find a lot of. You might currently find more agro processing or more value added products than fresh produce, but eventually we will get there. But everything is pretty simple as long as you are tech savvy.
Yeah, so just to ensure that our listeners understand what you're saying, so whether you live in Dominica or you live overseas, you can go and advertise, but I'm assuming that you only deliver in Dominica, so you're not shipping regionally or internationally at this point.
Right now, I am no, I am focused locally right now. I am focused on understanding everything that I need to understand regarding the platform before I transition into the regional market. I've had some vendors create their shops on the platform, because it is a platform where, as long as your products are there, people will see it. People can place their orders, so they don't need to buy from the site. They can just place an order for any product that they would like without actually making a purchase, or place an inquiry for a product. So I have a few vendors who take advantage of that opportunity just to create their shop and showcase their products.
And we also
that's an opportunity for people as well. A lot of times before the sales come, you have to focus on reaching an audience. A lot of times we focus on the cash money, and but a lot advertising is critical. If I should say, it is important to advertise your product before you can really make money off that product. And that is something I realize a lot of the people in agriculture don't fully understand. A lot, again, maybe it has something to do with not seeing agriculture as a business, because if you see agriculture as a business, then you will have a separate budget just for advertising and marketing. So this is something that I realize a lot of the people need to understand, that you just creating your shop on there and reaching a particular audience, you might never tell. Right now, I have people just calling me, you know anybody with such and such? It is because I've been constantly, it's not because I post seasoning peppers, but it's because I post that, hey, I have an agri-marketing business. So people now know that they can contact me for something relating to that. So I think a lot of the people in agriculture need to take advantage of advertising their product, just making sure that they get the products in front of as many people as possible. And ultimately, this can convert to sales.
Yeah, and for our listeners, agrivertise is spelled, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Correct.
agrivertise.com. So I'll repeat it at the end of the program as well, so you can make a note. But if you have a pen and paper close by, you can write it down. AGRI, V as in Victor, TIS as in Sam, agrivertise.com. And you can, just explore, see what it's all about, see how you can potentially become a vendor, potentially become a buyer. If you are interested in helping Callister to grow this business, you can contact her right on the page, right? There's a contact button on the page that you can reach her as well. So again, just reiterating the importance of each one of us playing a role in advancing our businesses and advancing Dominica as a whole. So Petra, let me come over to you. So it seems like you've been more focused on the produce, but now are you going into agro-processed goods in terms of what you're doing? And is there a particular standard that these produce have to meet in order to be imported into St. Croix? Are there standards that agro-processed goods have to meet in terms of being imported into St. Croix?
Yes, there is. There are standards that the produce have to meet to in order, especially in the U.S. Virgin Islands. No pests; they have to be properly cleaned. No dirt, no soil. There are regulations. Sometimes some products you can bring in at some particular time of the year. So before you want to ship anything, it's always wise to just check up. If you're not sure, you could contact me. I will contact the customs department to find out if this is allowed in St. Croix, because there are regulations changing every quite often. And yes, you have to pass through your agriculture department in Dominica. There are some license you might need for those importing from Dominica who want to do the transport the cargo. You will have to have a permit in St. Croix to bring up produce for resell. For personal use, no, but there's a limit to the personal use, so you have to check into that as well. And yes, as long as you get your it's your FITO. I think that's what they calling it, FITO bill. I think that's what I heard one of the customer said from Dominica, to state that Dominica give the all clear that they watch it. It's good for export. That should be good enough to come into the U.S. Virgin Islands. So yes, and we have to be very particular about it. Bugs, no bugs. We have to ensure that no bugs come in our produce. They take these things very seriously in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So yes, so it's not just picking up anything and just send over. It have to be well packaged. For the processed ones, they have to be well packaged, and sealed. I think some of the requirements is that you list the ingredients of what you have in there. So you just, if you're not sure, you could reach out to me and I'll reach out to the department
Yes.
and find out what's needed before we have things come up and that we have to send it back to Dominica. So yes, we try to stay. We must stay. Let me not say try. We must stay within the regulations of the customs and agriculture in U.S. Virgin Islands, because they take these things very, very, very seriously, and then they could stop further transportation of our goods if we don't do play by the regulations.
And while we're at it, let me just go ahead and share any contact information, because again, it comes down to education, because it sounds like a simple thing, just ship produce to St. Croix and St. Thomas. But as we start talking about the regulations and the standardization, then we have to be informed on those things so that our farmers can profit. So you have a contact information, Petra, you can share with us?
Yes, so my name is Petra Carbon George. You my number is 1340 423 7502. You could call me on message me on WhatsApp. You could check me out on Facebook as well. I have Judge Shipping Agency and things on Facebook. I have Petra Carbon George on Facebook. Um, you could go to my website, judgeshipping.com. I also try to I have this website, and so you could get information there as well. I try to put the information there as to the shipping and when is the next shipment. So yes, these are the ways you could contact me. You could contact me via email as well if you want to. My email address, I will put it in the link as well. Um, yeah, so you could do me email, Facebook, Instagram. You could look for me on Instagram. You could look for me on TikTok. You could look for me on um, all. I try to do all of them. I try to stay. I'm not. I'm in my 40s and so, but I try to be in everything young people in to keep myself groovy and have them. Know, hey, I dare too. Check me out. We're doing
Right, right,
agriculture, TikTok agriculture, and
right.
so
So,
to
so
make
do,
it exciting for them.
yeah. So do me a favor. Just type the information in the Facebook comment section, and I will go
Yes.
ahead and read it to the audience at the end of the program. And Calista, if you can do the same as well, just type the information, and we will go ahead and share it to the Facebook audience. We see Carlos Charles says Miss Sango should also consider offering this service regionally. So we talked about that. Uh, Jam Jamban Edmund Thomas. Yes. Petra, keep up the good work. My mom, Medina Senhouse, is here. Good evening. Hi, Ma Senhouse. Nice to see you on board. Sandra Carbon, yes, your phyto
Too.
certificate. So she was helping Petra with the certificate she was talking about. I think it is called a PHYTO
Yeah.
certificate. So it begs the question because one of our callers called and mentioned where are the men, and we have had men in agriculture on the program. But let us talk a little bit about the role of women in agriculture and how it can be used to empower our women in Dominica, because we always have to look at the broader picture in terms of the conversations that that we are having. And one of the things we are concerned about is the lack of economic opportunities for women in Dominica. So, what is the role of women in agriculture? As we see, they bring great innovation, they bring great mindsets and great skills, per our two guests we have here with us. But what is the role of women in agriculture, do you think? Calista, let's go with you.
Women can play a very important role in helping to move the agricultural sector forward. One of the things that I noticed, a lot of women may not be very interested in the farming aspect of things, but there are other ways by which you can assist the men. One of the ways is by handling the sales and the marketing, like I am doing, and we have other areas that we can tap into as women. We have record keeping. So I see a need for women to help the farmers with keeping their records. We have stuff like labeling and packaging of the products. And I keep saying farmers, but I realize agriculture is much more broad than just farming and fresh produce, because with labeling and packaging, this will have to do more with the value added products and working with the agro processors. So, or maybe you can actually convert something that the farmers produce into something that is more appealing to the customers. I talk about that in my book again. Yeah, so those are various ways by which women can get involved in agriculture. You can actually focus on more of the books part of it, the labeling, designing, packaging, um, speaking, reaching out to the people, and so on. So
Yes,
that's my
excellent.
opinion.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Petra, same question. Role of women.
Ye- Yeah, well, the role in women it varies. For me personally, um, I love the soil. Um, even if I don't plant now, but I do love the soil. So some women they could do the easier part of the vegetable parts of agriculture, and the men will leave the men for the harder part of the sheens and the yams and the harder stuff
Bananas.
that they can. And then we will do the marketing. We'll go to the market. We will do marketing. We'll do promotions for them. We could do the sales, as Callister said, which is more in tune. And like I tell people, I realize that women were born helpers, and just because you're a helper doesn't mean you're insignificant. And so you can help your husband, your spouse, your boyfriend, your brother to market their goods, because we have that. We are better at marketing than most men. So this is our strength. So as Callister said, we should take up the role of marketing for the men. So yes, the men they probably don't know so much about the internet. Well, now they get in there, and the women more versed into this. So that is why we should use social media to push the goods for our friends, our family, our brothers, our husbands, and let the world know what we have in Dominica to offer, because the technological world is open to everybody, not just to those in Dominica. So if we could get more women to use their Facebook page to do this type of things, I believe that we'd be able to bring in more people to have interest in what we have to offer in Dominica.
So as we get ready for your final thoughts, let us go over and remind everyone of your contact information and just kind of think of what your final thoughts will be for the program. So again, we have Callista, and it is hopefully by now you've grabbed a pen and paper, or you can simply use your cell phone notes. Yes, there's such a thing. Just pull up the notes on your cell phone and you can type this in. So again, agrivertise is AGRI, V as in Victor, ERT as in Tom, IS as in Sam, E.com, agrivertise.com. And then the contact information for Petra, for everyone who's listening on the radio, her phone number 340-423-7502. I will repeat that for you. 340 is the area code. 423-7502, and you can WhatsApp her on that number. Her website is georgeshipping.com, GeorgeShipping, georgeshipping.com, and she's on Facebook as Petra Carbon George. So lots of ways to get in touch with our guests this evening. Let's grab a few comments. Winsty says, Mandway mangoes, good to go. Talk to me. Not sure what he's referring to. I'm not sure if you guys know what he's referring to. Amma Thomas, great to see you, Amma. And she says, the WIA movement, we are. I have a project plan for that. Amma, maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that project and what is involved in it. Lucy Alexander, yes, Petra, I wish I was strong like before. We all wish we were strong like before. Okay, so as we come to the end of the program, ladies, again, thank you for being here. Let us share some of your final thoughts as we move ahead in 2024 and beyond, as we continue to cultivate agriculture. Where do we go from here? What are your projections? Is the Prime Minister correct that based on your experiences and observation that we will achieve the goal of 700 million contribution to GDP from agriculture by 2030? So talk to me. Petra, you first.
Well, probably you see in the future, but at the stage of where we are in agriculture in Dominica, I would have to say no. But if things are put in place, and if things are put in place, markets and the vessels that they promise us to transport the goods, and if they go out to establish markets for us, and if they help with the duty free for imports for the farmers, and to give duty free for machinery for agriculture, and if they invest focus more, help farmers, give them starting up loans at aid bank at 1%. I think that we could reach that projection, but not where we are right now without no assistance. So the assistance will be needed in order to achieve that 700 million projection for 2030.
Yes, thank you. Callister.
Um, I think once you have the capital, a lot is possible. The capital and the human resources as well. With the government, I feel like they have a lot of power, especially after 20 years. You should have a lot more power, and you should be able to have a team of people who have the vision to make things a reality. But agriculture is not a very easy sector to tap into, and it takes people with a passion for agriculture to help move it from the stage that it is right now to another stage. And one person will not be able to do it. So I think like if the government has a team of people who have the vision, who have the passion, and not just the passion, but we need a few people who are hardworking as well, because the passion will only take us as far as maybe the theoretical part of things, but in terms of production, we need people who are hardworking. So it takes people within the government and also people, the citizens. So I think like if everybody put their heads together and we focus on coming up with a plan that will help to create solutions from production. Well, let's start from the mindset of the people to marketing. With that finance that the government has, we should be able to see something come to fruition. But it will need first a set of people who have plans and plans that work. And we need to tackle the issues in terms of I think the government can put in place a group of people that just handle stuff like pest and diseases. You have a set of people that maybe handle just marketing. You have another group of people that will handle maybe enhancing the quality of the products, the appearance of our products for the regional and international market. So we need to really put a plan together to make sure that another set of people should be handling the pricing of products in a way that the farmers can benefit and see their way. So it's a lot that goes into really bringing things to fruition, because like I said, agriculture is broad and it is not something that we just focus on the farmers alone. We have the fisher folk here, we have the agro processors, we have the florists, we have a group of people that are in agriculture that we're not even focusing on with all the way that we speak of agriculture. But with agrivoltaics, I realize that we have a lot of people just planting flowers, planting herbs in plastics. Those are people that we need to focus on as well, because they are the ones who are able to supply the farmers with maybe some healthy seedlings and healthy plants for them to do their stuff. So we have the seedling propagators there. Those are people that are very important in helping to make agriculture what it should be. So we need to stop focusing so heavily on the farmers, because we have seedling propagators there that need the attention because they produce the inputs that the farmers are using. So I think it will take a group of people that know exactly who are the main people that can take the sector from point A to point B, apart from you having the finance to inject into the sector. So that's my say on that for now.
Yeah, very well said. And we just shared your contact information. So if you could wave a magic wand and have the right set of people reach out to you, what is your most pressing need at this time? What is the phone call you would like to receive from someone saying, this is how I'm going to help you? What is the most pressing thing, your most urgent need right now, that you would be very happy if someone called you at the end of this program to help you to grow your business? Petra, what would you say? That phone call you would love to receive at this point?
Wow. If somebody could call me right now and say, Petra, I am investing with you to buy a motor vessel to get your products to and from Dominica, I'd be jumping all now. So, because I know once I have the means, that's it. Once I have the means for, I have consistency in transporting the cargoes, everything else I can work with. But even if you have everything else and no means of transportation, you cannot get it done because we're trying to move produce from one point to the next. So if they could help me, if transportation would be, that would be it, and everything else would fall in line.
Absolutely. Callister, what is that call you would like to receive?
Well, I would like to agree with Petra that transportation is very important to move the product from the supplier to the customer. So that is something that I would need as well. But apart from that, I also need finance, like the cash money, because I have a lot of things that, I mean, agriculture is something, the more that I advertise, is something, the more that I do it, the more that I see different avenues. Because recently I had somebody call upon me to design a label for them. So it has a lot of opportunities with agrivoltaics, and I'm just waiting for the injection of some cash, because not only can I focus on production, I can focus on reaching where I need to reach. I can focus on enhancing my website. I can focus on a lot of other things, but it will take capital to do that. And yeah, I think that's my main need right now: capital and transportation.
Yes, so a call out to our audience. Again, this program is all about what is the role we can each play in advancing Dominica. So I think our ladies did a fantastic job. I want to thank them for being on the panel this evening in terms of not just talking about what is needed for agriculture, but getting their hands dirty, getting the work started. But in order to take it to the next level, we will need those creative minds out there, those with the experience. Peter Carbon in Florida comes to mind, who is an expert in agriculture and doing very well out there in Florida. So we need the experts to come on board to serve as advisors, to serve as instructors if we're doing workshops. So what is the role, as you listen to our panelists this evening, what is the role that you can play in terms of helping them to move their businesses forward for the benefit of not only them, but the benefits of Dominica at home and abroad as well. So Wincy Choi says, great job, ladies. I'm impressed because honestly, that's the only way to go back to the soil so we can grow wings to fly as a people. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Wincy, for your great contribution this evening. Philpson Thomas, well done, Petro, ex-supervisor Dasper. I think that's an ex-supervisor of yours. And Medora Jacinta, great job, ladies. So again, I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95. I've been your host, Simone Matthew. As always, we are grateful for the opportunity to be here to share with you our number one program for the people, the projects, the initiatives that our Dominicans and friends of Dominicans are working on to help to advance our people at home and abroad. We will be back at it again in 2 weeks. We should be back here January 24th with another engaging program. And again, as we continue these programs, I always want to have you think about the role you can play in terms of enhancing and contributing to what our Dominicans are doing to help to advance our country. We want to thank you for joining us, whether you listen via the radio or you were on Facebook and YouTube. To our callers who called in, thank you very much. Don't forget, for the best in programming, Q95DA.com is where you will want to be. And I also want to hear from you. Are you working on a project? Are you working on something that will in some way advance Dominica? So you can always reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com. That is PUSHPAST10 at gmail.com. And to keep up with all the projects that we have been featuring on Roots Connections, you can head on over to pushpast10.com, pushpast10.com, because what we are seeing now with 62 episodes under our belt, we need to start revisiting some of the projects that we have featured in the past so you too can stay on top of how these projects are growing and how they are continuing to contribute to the development of Dominica. So again, thank you everyone for being here. Lambi, thank you so much for taking the calls. DJ Shan, Sherwin Norris, Mr. G, the Q95 family, thank you for the opportunity to be here on Roots Connections to share the work of our Dominicans at home and abroad. So with that, we bid you good evening, good night. Have a wonderful, restful evening. Until next time, we say take care and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, Petra. Thank you, Callister. This was wonderful. Hopefully, we can continue to follow your progress so you can say bye to the audience at this point.
Thanks for having us, Miss Simon.
Bye.
Yes,
And thanks for
welcome.
listening, fellow Dominicans.
Yes, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
I'm supposed to leave now? Or she just go like that?
Rastafari. Oh, oh, children, home. Wanna go